Hi, Russell with SP, and today we're going to be taking a look at installing the new HF firing can into the Shocker RSX bolt system. Now the HF stands for high flow. This new firing can is a performance part developed for the Shocker RSX that increases the internal flow of the air from the firing chamber into the bolt itself. Now what that does is it's going to give you a reduction in operating pressure by about 10 psi, which is going to give you a smoother shot, softer shot, and it's also going to make it a little bit easier on paint. Some players are going to see a small increase in efficiency, anywhere between 50 and 150 rounds, but again, this is more about that shot feel, that internal flow rate, and the operating pressure. Anyway, it is measurably better than the outgoing part. We're going to show you how to install it. To begin with, we have our bolt system already out of the RSX. Real easy. You just push the button on the back, it comes out. Now, we're going to break it down into its basic components and then install our new part. So to start with, we're going to go ahead and unscrew the bolt cap from the firing chamber assembly. This is the firing chamber assembly we're going to be doing most of the work on. Then we have our bolt cap and our bolt. We can go ahead and set those aside for the rest of this assembly. Now, we're going to be replacing just the firing can section here, so we're going to have to take some parts off what we have already. So let's get into what we're doing here by just taking these first couple parts off that we're going to reuse. So here we have our firing can assembly, and we're going to take off the parts that we'll be reusing. So the first part we'll need is the bolt stop. That's this Delrin insert here in the front of the firing can. What you can do is push on it from the inside by sticking your finger through one of the ports, and it'll come right out. I'm going to set that aside, and then the next thing we're going to need to get access to is our latch mechanism. Now the latching on this portion of the bolt consists of this cup, the ejection spring on the inside, and the bolt cap on the back. So get that off. We're going to start by unscrewing the bolt kit cap on the back. So just go ahead and grab the part and the cap and just turn. You'll want to keep a good hold on the cap because there is spring tension on it. That's why I generally hold the cap and turn the part. It'll release with a small pop, and you'll get your bolt cap, your spring, and spring retention cup. Now this is the outgoing part that we will not be needing anymore. The part number for this is SHK204. We won't be using this anymore, so we can go ahead and get rid of it. The new part is the HF can. The part number for this is the SHK204. Now this will be the part we're reusing. So first of all, we're going to put our latch components back on, which consist of our spring cup, our spring, and our back cap. You'll want to double check that the rubber bumper here is installed properly in your back cap and you didn't lose it or anything prior to reinstalling. So you're going to want to put your cup on first. The cup has a correct side and a wrong side to be up. The correct side is going to have a cup for the spring. So we want to put it on our firing can, cup side up. That way our spring sits inside the cup. And then we're going to put our bolt cap on. Now what I do is, just like when I'm taking it off, I'd like to turn the part rather than the cap. So I'm going to push the cap in and turn it a few times to get those threads started. And once it's started like that, you'll want to look up underneath and make sure the spring is centered before you tighten it back down. Just use your finger to push the spring in a way to make sure that it is all centered, and that will ensure that your cap will screw completely on. So once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and tighten it up. And now our cap is completely on. And now we're going to need to reinstall the bolt stop that we took out earlier. What I like to do is put a small amount of lube on the inside ledge here. And that's not because this is a moving seal. This is a non-dynamic seal or a non-moving seal, but that does make it easier to get the bolt stop out in the future. So I put a little bit of lube in there, slide our bolt stop in. Then take a small amount of lube, put it on the inside O-ring inside the bolt stop. The bolt stop itself doesn't need lube, it's just that O-ring on the inside that I like to kind of pre-lube a little bit to make sure we have good engagement. Now we can put the rest of our kit back together, our bolt system. We're going to take a small amount of lube and lube the tail O-rings here. We're just getting enough so that the lube fills in the grooves on either side of the O-ring. Next, the landing here behind the bolt head. Again, just a surface coating. The reason we're doing that is when the bolt slides in, it'll just ensure that we have good lubrication of the O-ring inside the bolt stop. Finally, the bolt sail is the main O-ring on the bolt itself, so we'll put some lube on that. Again, just enough to fill in the groove on either side. Reassembling that, set that aside for a moment, and now we can lube our bolt cap. It's important, if you're not working with a clean bolt kit, that you remove and clean the front O-ring inside this can, just as standard maintenance, because that O-ring is exposed to the most dirt in the marker. So once you are sure that it's clean, go ahead and take your finger and just put some lube in there. Make sure that, again, you're just putting enough to fill the grooves on either side of that O-ring. Then we can go ahead and slide the kit back together, screwing it all the way down until it is snug. Don't need to over tighten it, snug is good enough. I then take whatever lube I have left on my finger and just put it on the outside O-rings. Again, these are not dynamic seals, they're not moving in the function of the marker, but it does mean that they're going to go in and out that much easier. And that is it. Our new HF can is completely installed and we're ready to have it back in the marker.